Hi, everyone. Welcome. Thank you so much for being here. Just as everyone starts to jump into the session, my name is Deanne Love, and you will be able to see, hopefully, that there is a little chat box. And if you have any questions, we're going to try to leave them to the end. But if some pop up and you would really like to ask them, then you can chat in the box. And if I miss them, then I'll try to come back to them. So welcome. This one is a pretty special one. It was really hard to choose just 10 lessons or tips that I have learned over more than 10 years of teaching hooping. But here are my 10, and I hope that you find many sparks of inspiration. So if you don't know who I am, hi everyone, welcome in. I can see you're all jumping in to say hello. Glad to be here. Yeah, me too. It's a very interesting time on the planet, isn't it? As always. So even these small pockets of connection across many different countries is so valuable. So thank you. I wish that I could see your faces soon. If you don't know who I am, my name is Deanne Love, and yes, I am a hooper, have been hooping for a very long time, very consistently, very full-time, and that might not be your path, and that's totally okay because we have so many different things going on. So if you're new to hooping, welcome. If you've been hooping for a long time, welcome. If you've never hooped before, welcome. I have created hooplovers.tv, which is this portal if you've not been there, because I know a lot of people spend time on social media. So we might know each other through social media or through YouTube. YouTube is quite big. Hi, Kat, welcome in, and Carol. But I created hooplovers.tv as a way for us to have like a spot for everyone to hang out on. And that then moved into all of the courses and the teacher trainings and all of the things. So part of today is the tips on how I just keep creating things. But I would love to hear from you. If you've got some time, if you've connected right now, let us know where you're from on the planet. Drop your city or country location, because I just love to know how diverse we actually are. Houston, San Francisco, Brazil, welcome. Mexico City, Colombia, Canada, I knew it, USA, Canada, Toronto, Arlington, Virginia, Arizona, Florida. Amazing. New South Wales, yay, we're neighbors. Welcome, Seattle. Oh, so beautiful to see so many familiar names. I wish that I could see your faces. So yes, this is a global and growing community, always. And I started hooping in 2007, just to give hoop history was not what I was going to talk about, but so 2007, I started hooping, and I was living in Japan, and I knew some hoopers in Australia, and of course, a lot of hoopers in the US and Canada, and a few around. And over the years, and still, even after everything that happened in 2020 and is continuing to happen in 2021, the hoop community is growing and growing and growing and growing because of humans like you, honestly. So the more that we share it offline and online, the more that it continues to grow. And I know that not just from what I see, but even the number of emails that I get every day, the number of people subscribing to my YouTube is just huge. It's massive. Like every day I jump on, and I'm so excited because I almost had this feeling like you, and you might have this feeling too as a hoop teacher, like back when I started, like, it's not a thing. No one would come to my class. This will never work. This will never grow. No one's into hooping. That is like the imposter syndrome lie, because what I've seen, and I'm sure what you see as well, it just keeps growing. So that's exciting that you're a part of it. All right, so grab your journal if you don't have one. I am a very big fan of writing down lots and lots of ideas and notes. So that's one of the big ways that I go from like little bits of creativity. I jot them down in here and then they expand and grow. So grab your journal if you don't have one. I know some people like to do their journaling or their ideas on their phone, but try to switch off distractions. I'm a very easily distracted person, so I could be connecting with you, not in this workshop, obviously, but then I'll be like, ooh, wow, social media is meant to distract us, and I'll talk about that a little bit later. So turn off your distractions. If you do have questions, either write them down or you can pop them in the chat box, but I'll have a little question time at the end as well. And yes, use the chat box as you wish. All right, so I have a question for you. And this is a question that might change for you over time, but I always ask this at the beginning of all of my workshops like this. Why do you want to teach hooping? Now, you don't need to share your answer with me or with others, but have a think about your why. Why do you want to do this? And your reason and your why is your why. Maybe you like to teach hooping or you want to continue teaching hooping because you make new friends. Maybe it keeps you fit and strong. Maybe you want to make some extra money. Maybe it helps you feel creative and courageous. But taking a moment to think about why you want to teach hooping. And if you are a hoop teacher, why you continue to do it. Especially when sometimes it feels like it's not working, or sometimes it feels like you can't work it out, or it's too challenging. I personally, I've always told myself, like, my big whys are that it's fun loving. Like, I need that kind of fun and playfulness in my life. Otherwise, I feel like I get very like, oh. But hooping is always expanding and changing. There's always new inspiration. So my why is that it's very energetic. I need that kind of energy in my life. Also, it changes lives. It changed mine hugely. And because of that, because that's my why, like, I actually had the experience of my whole entire life changing in very positive ways. I have to share that. I must. I have to do it. It's just something that is my life purpose. I also teach hooping for abundance. It supports me in two major ways. I think of abundance as connection with humans and financial or kind of physical material abundance, which might come in the form of being able to live in the city that I want to live in because that's where all the other hoopers are at, or being able to find a space, a venue to teach in. That's my dream venue. So I think of abundance in lots of different ways, not just like dollar signs. So it's very abundant. There's lots of humans in my life. There's lots of connection in my life. And so I'm really grateful for that. And then opportunities. I could spend weeks, months, days telling you about all the things that hooping has gifted to me and being able to teach in so many different ways. So the reason why I spend so much time on this question is because when you know why you're doing it, even when you get lost, even when it sucks, even when it's hard, you'll still come back to your why. So keep that question close to your heart. Okay, so top tips. You feeling ready? Everyone good? You're there? It's on. A few days ago, I sat down and I was like, whoa, I haven't done one of these workshops because 2020, I haven't done a teacher connected workshop for a while. And I was like, many of you might know about the imposter syndrome, where we do all these things, we create all this stuff, we work on it, and then somewhere in our minds, we still tell ourselves, or we still doubt, or we still question that we're good enough, or that we know enough, or that anyone will want to learn from us. And I really want to be open and vulnerable and say, I still am challenged by that. I'm still challenged by that. So it's something that a lot of teachers, I know, a lot of hoopers, a lot of movers, a lot of creators battle. And it's this idea that maybe we're not good enough yet, or I have to do more, or no one's going to come to my class. So I quickly wrote down a few of the things that I've done just to give myself a little reminder of the journey that I've been on. And I would highly recommend that when you are struggling with this, like, oh, but I don't know, no one would really, I'm not as good as, the comparison thing. Like if you see other hoop teachers or other hoopers online, it's very easy to think that we're not as good as them, or we're not enough. But I would highly recommend, and it's one of the exercises that we do at the beginning of Hoop Love Coach training, where we do a reverse bucket list. So a bucket list is like, I want to go here for a holiday, or I want to achieve this goal. If you're struggling with this imposter stuff, like, oh, I'm just not good enough, take your journal, take some time. I know we have busy lives and they're very packed, but write down some of the things, some of the achievements, or the happy moments, or whatever it is that you have done that have brought you to this moment. And just spend some time congratulating yourself. Spend some time appreciating how much you've done. So reverse bucket list. I wrote a few little ones down. But you probably know I've been a wild online and offline creator. It's like I am just, it's such my life purpose that my why is, it changed my life, and I need to share that. So Lorette was saying it's definitely still a struggle to work out while you're balancing being a mum of 6, but I still enjoy hooping and I have so many ideas, but I never implement any of them. This is another one of those. And yes, look, being a mum of 6, huge, 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 most amazing, abundant, joyous, challenging, incredible part of life. So life is real. There are these real things, definitely. And the idea of having many ideas, this is why I do this journaling kind of stuff. So writing down the ideas, and ideas for me, because I think as a creative person, and Lorette, I know you're a creative person, as a creative mind, we can have so many ideas, but coming to the surrender that not all of those ideas are going to become something, but maybe they will. And there are many ideas that I have journals from my earliest, like 2008, 2007, 2008. And some of those ideas that I wrote back then, I'm only now, 2021, able to start to put them into play. But if I didn't write them down and I didn't share them and kind of treasure them, they'd be lost, and many ideas get lost, thousands and thousands. So coming to some kind of surrender that not all ideas turn into a reality. That's probably a good thing, right? We would have way too much to do. Okay. But my answer is often to give consistently. Now, there's a flip side to that, because we have to know what we can give, like how much we can give. If you're just completely giving all of yourself, and I know this from experience, you burn out, or you lose a love for it, or you're just like, oh, I've given too much. So it's like showing up for yourself, first of all, like recognizing, Vitilius, you're in the house, welcome. Recognizing your why, how much energy you want to pour into this, and it doesn't have to be the same as someone else. Showing up for yourself and for others, that is often where you'll start to see your why come if you're struggling. All right, so the greatest thing that you can do to create a community, and your community could be 3 people, it could be 300 people, it could be you don't have to qualify, quantify anything, because that's where comparison comes into. It's your community. It could be you and your auntie, your sister in your backyard. That's your community. It could be you and every neighbor. It could be you and 20 beautiful humans that you've connected with online. It could just be you as well. You are your greatest community. And I hooped by myself for many, many years, just understanding all this stuff, building the foundations. But to create this community and build a body of work, so those ideas, it's your body of work that you feel is going to be of service, but is also something that you love, that you're proud of. It's not someone else's stuff. It's not something you've been like, oh, that person does that, so I should do that. It's okay to be inspired, but no. It's to offer up consistently. Now, your consistently, say as a mum of 6 or as someone who has a full-time job, or your consistently is going to be different to mine, because we are different. But something that is of service and that you're also proud of, that's about showing up as often as you can for yourself and for others. So let's begin with the tips. I am going to turn my camera off and I'll be back soon. This is a huge one that I hear a lot. A lot of people ask me this question, but where can I teach hooping? Hoops are big. I need space. I wrote a blog many years ago on hooplovers.tv with a list of just 50 places that you could teach hooping. When I first started teaching hooping, I was living in Tokyo, Japan, and space is very, very limited. It is one of the most packed cities on the planet. And here I was wanting to teach big hoop classes with big props and equipment. The thing that I would really, really recommend you do, and even right now with your journal, you might be writing down little ideas. Hooping can be taught almost anywhere, and thinking outside of just the very kind of mainstream idea of yoga studios or dance studios. I believe that I have taught hooping. I've taught hooping in nightclubs. I've taught hooping in when they're shut down. I've taught, well, sometimes when they're not shut down as well, in churches, in backyards. Is there anyone who might want to jump in the chat box right now? Let us know where you have taught hooping. Could be in your backyard, could be in your living room, could be at a school, could be, yes, yoga studios are could be at a circus, could be, let me think. So many places. If there's anyone that has had experience or has been hooping. Yes, you teach yoga on the beach. Hooping would be easy. Yes, hooping on the beach, definitely. And different climates too. I know some people are in a city or in a place where they can hoop in the park for some parts, for some seasons. There are, yes, in the hospital and workplace, definitely. Aged care, I know things are shifting around the world right now, so there's a bit of reshuffling going on, but hospitals, your workplace, pole dance studio with the poles in the way, yes, absolutely. The local park, yes. Many, many places. Hard to hoop outside in Iceland. I love these answers too. So this is where we get to see that there is diversity, that it's not going to work. Anna Gray said in a Pentagon conference room. See? Anywhere on the planet. Okay, maybe there are some spaces that are off limits, but you will be surprised at how a hula hoop, I actually want to bring my camera back on. So you might be surprised at how hula hoop is a little bit of a ticket to certain places. And if you're a hooper, if you've been a hooper for a while, then you can start to think like, oh, everyone knows about hooping, or the opposite. You can sometimes be like, oh, no one's going to want hula hoops, but hula hoops are iconic. Everyone knows what they are, but generally you might have noticed this. They're very curious about why you have them. And so sometimes it can be a gateway into new different areas and curiosity. So at a funeral, outdoors, at a senior housing neighborhood, teaching children, the elderly, yes. But also, who was it who said, Roberta, yes, it can be a struggle. Some places it's really challenging, so you need to get creative. Okay, tip number 2 is that hooping and teaching are two very different arts. And I know this might seem obvious, but they both equally require playtime. So if you are hooping a lot and you're loving it and you're enjoying it, this is fabulous, and you're on the edge of teaching or you're wanting to teach more, I would highly, highly, highly recommend that you give some more playtime to your teaching. So that's either start teaching, you could do secret videos. No one has to see them. Just start teaching someone on the other side of the screen. Maybe start teaching anyone that you can that's maybe in your family or friendship group. If this is something that you're wanting to move into, or even if you are teaching but you're kind of out of practice, giving your teaching as much practice and playtime as your hooping is really essential. That's a cool one. Before giving a talk to get the audience's attention. Yes, you can do a little showtime, a little playtime. Definitely. My tip number 3, again, might seem obvious, but it is very much about being you. Now, we live in a world where we are watching other people all of the time. And so what that brings up is the monster of comparison. So we're looking and we're like, oh, that person does it that way. But even if we don't realize it, we're always comparing. And so we have this huge task of coming back to doing it our way. Now, of course, we're going to get inspiration and ideas and structures and systems, but your special sauce, how you want to do it. And actually, in module 1 of the Hoop Love Coach training, it's all about your special sauce. It's all about how you want to craft things, because that is how you connect. If I was trying to be, and we all try on different masks, or we all have to kind of, adapt in different ways. But if I was trying to be something else, then I just feel tired. You just get burned out. You just don't want to do it anymore. It's not authentic. And then also B, it would come across as just fake because it's not me. And here is my biggest tip, because I get to see tens, hundreds of thousands of hoopers, and then I get to see thousands of teachers. And of the teachers that are most successful, like they're most connected and enjoying it and really connected to their why, it's the ones who are doing their thing. So maybe they're into like, I don't know, punk rock music, and they teach at a local bar, and that's their like alternative style of hooping. Maybe they're into like choreography and pop music, and that maybe they're into, they're like nurses or support staff in aged care or schools. And that's their why and their purpose. And so they're teaching and sharing that way. And that is being you. It's probably maybe the biggest one. Where hooping helps us to work out who we truly are. So more hooping. One of the big things that can hold us back is to have the confidence, like, no one would really want to see this, or I don't, we're constantly struggling. I'm always struggling with confidence. And what I tell myself is that it's courage on repeat. So if I can just do a little bit, if I can just, whatever it is that is a courageous act for the day, if I do that, and then the next day I do a little bit more, and then I do a little bit more, and a little bit, it doesn't have to be daily, whatever, that builds my confidence. So if I do a little bit more hooping, in your body, it's like building strength. It's the same kind of thing. It's like we put ourselves out there, we show up in the way that we are as ourselves, our special source, little by little by little, and it builds the confidence. So it is a lifelong journey. Okay, tip number 4. If you have seen the way that I teach, the way that I share online, the way that I kind of do anything, and if you admire how I teach, how I break things down, how I share, there are 2 things that I always use in all of my work and play and sharing. And one is structure, a plan, and the other is flow. So it's the masculine, they're like, okay, I've got to work out this plan. So it's very clear. So it's very neat. So it's very organized. But I don't want it to be too rigid because this is a playtime. This is an art. This is creativity. So then I bring in the flow. For example, a class, if I'm teaching a class, my structure is that I have a warm-up. So I'll have some kind of activity to break the ice. I'll have skills, so we'll teach tricks. And this is always my class plan, but it's modular, so I can put different things in. I have sequences or flow sessions where we then put those tricks together because we're building courage, we're building confidence. Then I always have playtime where we get to integrate and explore. And then I always have cool down. So that is my structure. And that makes everything organized. That means that students or you, anyone who turns up knows that there's a sequence of events, that it's not just this loose, oh, whatever, we're just doing whatever. There's something that there's a reason, there's a structure. But then it's the play, it's the flow, it's the anything could happen. It's like, okay, in the skill time, maybe I'm sharing tricks and everyone is like, got that, got that, got that. So I've always got this other stuff, this other playful flow that comes in. I, in everything that I do, create some kind of plan, whether that's the online tutorials, even a hoop jam, even where you're just like, rock on in, because that will give you the confidence, that will give you the courage. And that is a huge thing. One of the biggest tips that I've learned, to have some structure. Are you writing down? Are you like, oh yeah. Now, as a human, but particularly as a teacher and as a hooper, there's 3 things that I think are our superpowers. And one of those is observation. When you are a teacher, and I know if you're new to teaching or a different style of teaching, perhaps, hoop teaching, you're going to have, every class is multi-level. Every human is multi-level. No class is ever going to be the same, and no one's ever going to be at the same level. So observation will be, you can still have the structure. So you do the same, everyone does the same warm-up, but you will notice that everyone's doing it a bit differently. This person may have an injury. This person may have dance experience. This person may be holding lots of trauma in their body or very unable, not feeling it. This person might have eaten too much food before coming. They had a big curry and a party with friends. So you're going to notice very subtly all of those differences. Observation will be your key when you're teaching tricks, because even if you do not know how to break down that trick, you can safely support a student by observing them. So if a student asks you or they're having any trouble, you can troubleshoot through observation by saying, show me how it's working for you. Show me what happens. Show me where you're getting stuck. And that's kind of where the courage comes in. So I actually swapped this word out. I wrote the word vulnerability, because when I was thinking what has been my hugest challenge, but my biggest breakthrough as a hoop teacher, and even this, like, sharing all of this stuff, it's very vulnerable. It's very open. These are the things that I have learned. When you are a teacher in front of others, it's very easy to shut down because we get really nervous. but it's also a superpower to be able to be courageous and open. I'm seeing some beautiful comments here. So Rachel says, your classes are amazing that way. I love the flow and the way you teach skills quickly. Thank you. That's very beautiful of you. Sophia, thank you for mentioning this. I was a bit unsure and nervous on some classes I'll give as students in slightly different levels. Yes, students are always in different levels. And even if you take, so for example, if you're thinking of taking a group through, say, 4 weeks or 8 weeks, let's say 10 students show up in week 1. By the end, by week 8, they will all be different. Some are going to really connect with certain moves. Others are going to move through other struggles or challenges. Some will take to it very quickly. And our role as a teacher is to be there to guide them through that. But not to, I mean, sometimes we can get very nervous and kind of take ownership and then think, oh no, it's my fault that she doesn't understand how to do this. But we're there to support and guide through all of that. And so boundaries, we've talked about observation being your super skill, your superpower, being able to ask questions courageously and give feedback. And boundaries, it's been a huge one for me as a teacher. I graduated as a primary school teacher in 2000, so over 20 years ago. And I can think back to when I first started teaching in classrooms. I wanted so badly for the kids to like me. You know, I was young and I was feeling always so nervous and so like I didn't know what to do or how to do. And the schools that I taught in were very, very tough and challenging in my first couple of years. And as a human and as a woman, my boundaries, they kind of weren't there because I was so stressed and worried about all of this other stuff that I had to do. But one of the biggest things that I've learned over teaching, and particularly teaching hooping, is that my boundaries, I needed to work on those as well. So if I was, for example, and there's many different conversations around this one, but boundaries to me mean that I know my why. I know what I am here to teach. I also know my limitations and I'm not afraid of them. I think sometimes we can go into classes and think that we have to know, you know, we have to be like this hooper, that we have to know everything, but no one knows everything. We can't be able to teach everything. We're there to give what we can give, and we're there for our why and to share that with our students. So I believe that these will be your superpowers. And boundaries a little bit can be just setting that you are the teacher and the hooper and you're there to give support, but you're not a therapist unless you are a trained therapist. You're not a trauma counselor unless you are a trained trauma counselor, but that would happen outside. I'm not a chiropractor. I'm not a doctor. I'm not a physiotherapist. I'm not any of those things. I am a hoop teacher and a mentor and a friend and just kind of setting those things. And this is not to scare you, like 99.9% of humans don't overstep boundaries, but there are some students in classes where it's quite challenging. It's quite, they'll like try to push through those boundaries or the boundaries of other people in the class. I'm sure if you're a teacher or perhaps if you're a nurse or a caregiver, you will know that some people test boundaries to gain more attention than others. And that's a part of teaching as well. So Vitilia says that people are asking to teach classes, but I feel I'm not good enough. We're going to get to the not good enough part in a minute, because this is a thread that everyone thinks. This is a feeling that everyone has. Here's a question that I would ask you, because there's so many questions that I could ask around this, but because the feedback that I often get from teachers or new teachers, hoop teachers, is I'm not good enough because I don't know enough tricks. I'm not good enough because I haven't taught this many classes. I would ask you to think about what you would like to teach and who you are going to teach it to. So, who are your students or your audience or your community? Maybe what are their skills? If they're total beginners, they're not good enough, you can push out of the way, because they are coming to you for creativity, support, guidance, wonder, so many different things. And you have that. If you have been hooping, you have that. You can share that with them. If you have taught a few classes before, you will know that most people, and I've heard this from many teachers, that often they make the mistake that they think they have to teach all of this stuff. And I used to do that a lot too. Like I was like, I want them to learn this and this and this and this. And it's so much because I think I have to give all of that. But actually, it's much more simple than that. So if your hoopers are beginners, techniques on waist hooping, techniques on warming up the body and being connected, basic tricks, a basic flow. Just something to think about. Yes, there's so much depth in every trick. The fundamental ones have so much to explore and learn and relearn and relearn. This is such a huge piece, because again, we live in a world where we think next. Like, even look how our social media is set up. We go like this, next. So we can get caught in this thinking that we have to be like that as a teacher. No, maybe you want to sprinkle some more. Maybe you want to give, even for your own brain as a teacher, you can, like I taught thousands and thousands of beginner to intermediate classes over years and years and years. And there was a point where I was like, oh, I need to start creating something else because I'm feeling a little bit stuck. But that basic beginner depth and the foundations, there's so much to unpack and explore, and so many variations there. Talking about, it's really interesting to talk about the fundamentals, the foundations, because my next tip is to really develop those anchors. And again, I go back to structure, and the structure is like having a plan, knowing where it's going, knowing your fundamentals, knowing what, as a teacher, your foundational tricks are. The second anchor always is breath. Everyone take a big deep breath. Feel that? Sometimes we can get so wrapped up in so many different things, and coming back to the anchor of presence and breath. When you're in the act of teaching and there's so much energy coming at you, when you're in the act of thinking, how am I going to find a place to teach? Or how am I going to call someone to say, hello, do you want me at your studio? Sit in it, take a breath. It's always there as a little bit of space, and you'll need it time and time and time again. The third anchor is that ebb and flow of energy, the ups and the downs. It happens in the creation of, it happens in the planning. It will definitely happen in class time, where it's like high energy and then chill out a little, and then high learning energy and then relax a little. That will happen through everything. Sometimes you're going to get lots of opportunities and it feels like, wow, the world is opening and everyone's saying yes. And then sometimes it feels like, I don't know, where's my next opportunity? Where's my next job? Where's my next, what should I do next? So that's always there. And for me, the fourth is music. That's what guides me through everything. The planning, the creation, the teaching, the hooping. Music is my inspiration, but you might have a different inspiration. They're your anchors. Really get to know them. That would be my big tip, because you're going to need them. They're like your support floaties. Okay, this is huge. Fertilius, anyone who is like, oh, I don't know if I'm good at, oh, I'm not quite sure. My tip number 7 is start small, but start now. Yesterday, I had a look at how many YouTube tutorials or videos I had put up on YouTube. And it told me 654. That's wild. 654 videos just on YouTube. But if I didn't start back then and just start, all I started with was one. I didn't know I was going to make all these one. That one video was how to hula hoop for total beginners. That's all I started with. I decided that every Tuesday I would share one video. And for years, every Tuesday, I shared one video. And then all of these other, but I just started with one. It might be a small group for you. It might be one-on-one on Zoom. It might be a friend. It might be in front of your mirror. It could be a short course that you want to share online or offline. It might be a tutorial. Start small, but start now, because you don't know what it's going to turn into. And you're in control. You have your boundaries. If you're not loving it, you can pivot, you can change, but start something, anything. Okay. Tip number 8, you're already here. Surround yourself with support. Things have changed a lot for me, because I feel like I had tremendous support in the beginning, and I still do, but it's in a different way. A lot of times now, especially since the world, I live in Australia, for those who don't know, and we are not allowed to travel we're not allowed to travel internationally unless we have a huge contract, and no one's really going to provide a hoop teacher with a huge contract. So I am technically locked in my country, which means that everything, apart from my amazing small community where I live, comes through here. Your support might be different. Your support might be, it could be anyone and whatever, but have that support there. And if family or friends don't get it, or they don't support you, there are other people. There's me, there's the humans on this, find support. And one of the biggest things, going back to courage, is ask for help if you need it. Ask for help. Okay, tip number 9. Questions coming up really soon. If you have any, I'm looking forward to hearing them. There's no destination. Remember how I was saying, and the YouTube story is just one of many, many, many stories as a hoop teacher for me. When I put up that one video, I didn't know it was going to turn into this huge thing. And I don't think I realized there was no one destination. It's been continuous. I'm constantly learning, creating, connecting. And even in the times when that ebb and flow, that energy has been kind of on the down, and I'm like, oh, what do I do now? Reaching out, asking others, connecting with you, asking questions, listening to the answers, means there's been a constant journey. There's no one point that I ever get to and I'm like, I made it. Doesn't work like that. It's not how, keep going. Okay, Vitilius, I think you asked me a question about technology, and many people ask me about technology. And this is tip number 10 is a very general and broad because there's so many little bits to technology and what can support you. But here are my things around technology. Technology is a very powerful tool. I would not know you if I would not have the same connection. We would not have the same connection. But social media is a wild distraction. Social media is a wild distraction, which means we are in a phase of our history where we think that we can be doing things and connecting things. And, if teaching really is your goal, you can get filled up by connecting on social media, but you haven't actually executed the ideas. They're two very different things. So I ask myself these questions. Technology, how do I work this out? Every single thing is able to be worked out. So in the beginning, when I wanted to do a YouTube video, how do I work this out? I had to create a structure. So I needed a space. I was in the basement of a warehouse. I needed a light I had to get from a friend. I needed a camera. There was Masa was able to get a camera, and I needed a plan to teach. So I had to work out all the steps. And then the same thing happened for every other thing. These days, like yesterday, I'm starting some new classes on Zoom. And I thought about you, Vitellius, because I was like, I had a microphone and I couldn't get it to work, and my music would play and it wasn't working. And I could have reached out to a friend, like Masa is very good at technology, but do you know what he would probably say to me? Google it or go on YouTube. And so I did. I went on YouTube and it was very frustrating and I couldn't understand it, but then I worked it out. So technology, I'm always asking myself, how do I work this out? Most platforms have support. Most pieces of technology have reviews. Other teachers are willing to say, like if it's about microphones or platforms. With social media, though, I want you to ask yourself this question every time you're on it, every time you share anything, or every time you spend any time. Why am I doing this? I think I'm going to leave that there. I hope that's in every time that you're on social media. Why am I doing this? Especially if you catch yourself comparing, especially if you catch yourself scrolling and not feeling great that your ideas have not turned into something. Because social media, it's designed to be a distraction, but it's also a great tool to share your stuff. So ask yourself, why? Why am I on here? So not good enough. I'm excited to hear your questions, but I just want to talk about this not good enough. Every single human that I have encountered who wants to teach or wants to hoop has told me at some point or every point that they're not good enough, that they don't have enough skills, that they don't know how, and that they don't have the tricks, or they don't have the technology, or they don't have the space or the money and they're all very valid and can feel very, very real. But if you have learned to hoop, remember when you first picked up that hoop and you didn't know how to spin it, or maybe you had the wrong size and then you didn't have the money to purchase all of those steps. You started small and you started then, and now you're here. And that same energy and that same journey applies. You are enough. And I'm not trying to be like, oh, I praise. I'm not trying to be a motivational quote on Instagram. If you're showing up here now for yourself, and you've shown up every time you write something in your journal, every time you have the courage to connect and reach out to another hooper or ask questions, you are enough and you are supported. Okay, questions. If you have questions about anything, drop them in the chat box. If you do have questions about Hoop Love Coach training, I know there's a few of you. Some of you have already done the training or you're not interested in it. That's totally fine. but you don't have to be at all. If you have questions about the Hoop Love Coach training, Olive, yes, in Perth. It's going to be beautiful. I'm going to quickly go through the slides there as a few of you are like typing in your questions. And any questions, you can ask any questions at all, anything, even if it feels a bit silly or if it feels a bit big or if it feels, type them in. If you are interested in Hoop Love Coach training, it starts on the 5th of April, which is a little while away. There is actually, for those of you who are into using social media, I know that I said it's a wild distraction, but let's all face it, you know that I'm on there. You know that I have worked out a lot of systems and a lot of structures and a lot of flow to be able to share hooping on multiple platforms to over, like, I go to say hundreds of thousands of people. I mean, the stuff, the tutorials have had millions and millions of views. I don't know how many humans all over the planet. I've worked a lot. I've spent a lot of time sharing online and offline. So I do, in this Hoop Love Coach training, I'm going to share a course that is Expand Your Online Circle, which is about using social media. Sometimes I feel like I use it too much. So very briefly, I'm watching that chat box to see if you've got any questions. You can ask me anything about hooping or hoop teaching. But if you are into the Hoop Love Coach training, it's an online training. There is community support. It's open to you 24/7. You can do it at your own pace or with me. You learn from an expert. That's me. Even that is hard to, like, this has been written here and I'm like, oh, am I though? I am. I've been doing this. I've learned so many things and I love sharing with you. There is a certificate of completion, but don't do it for that bit. Do not, no. You can learn at your own pace or you can come with me. And very quickly, cool, I'm seeing some questions come through. It is 397 Australian dollars. So that will be, the currency conversion will be a little bit different for each part of the planet. If you want to break up the payment, you can do that. Get in touch with me. We start together on the 5th of April. Questions. Do you carry a lot of hoops so you can teach wherever, whenever? I used to. Yes. Okay, so my journey was, I started hooping alone, very alone. Lots of music though. Lots and lots of music. So not ever really alone, connected with the whole of the multiverse. And then I was like, I have to share this. So I started going to a park in the middle of Tokyo, very nerve-wracking, terrifying. I would take lots of hoops, yes, that I made myself. Some I think I got sent from Australia. It was a long time ago. My memory's a little sketchy. Hoops are heavy. It's a great workout if you're wanting to build strength in your body and patience and tenacity. I don't carry them all the time now, no. And once I started I wasn't carrying them as much in my car or in my on my body. I missed them. So sometimes I do, but not as often as I used to. Sometimes there'd be 2 stacks because I taught at lots of schools and I'd be like, or festivals, but not as often, no. But most hoopers that I know will have them in their car or on their bike. Or thank you, Olive. Wildly inspiring and such a beautiful soul. And you, thank you. Lorette, I am still learning at my own pace and I honor you for that. I respect you and I acknowledge you. And so am I. We are at our own pace. And this is the very, very important lesson. It's like the big tip number 11, but 1 really. We're all at our own pace, and do not let anything on here tell you that you need to speed up, slow down, change. Listen to yourself. It's your pace. Take back that's our empowerment. It's your pace. And if I've ever made you feel like, if you've been watching things and you think like, oh, I have to do, it's your pace. What's the scariest thing or biggest challenge you've had as a hoop teacher? Ooh, so many. Oh, okay, one that comes to mind. There's so many. Honestly, for all of my courage and creativity and go get it, I have equal parts scaredy cat. Like, ask my partner, ask any, like my mom, ask everyone. I'm also a scaredy cat. So I'm terrified. I am nervous to talk on the phone. I hate, like, if the phone rings, I'm like, ooh. So with that in mind, one of the scariest things was, so a very quick story, because I know you've got questions and we're going to wrap up in a little bit, in about 5 minutes. So I was living in Tokyo, Japan, and there was a huge earthquake on the 11th of March, and I was just about to teach a kids class, a hoop class, and everything shut down. The whole entire city shut down. 1 month later, all of my stuff, I packed up and moved back to Australia. And I didn't want to. I was scared. I had no job. How was it? I didn't know many people because I'd been in Japan for so long. But I knew that I wanted to keep teaching hooping, but I didn't know how. So I started to do a few different things. But I had been a primary school teacher. So I thought that I wanted to start teaching kids hooping. And I wanted to create a business that had, because I had this epic kids program. Epic. I'm so proud of it and I love it so much. But how could I get what I was proud of into the schools? Because that's so scary. Because rejection, we're humans. I don't want to be rejected. I don't want people to tell me that the thing that I'm proud of sucks and they don't want it and I need to do better. So how do I protect myself? I just won't tell them about it. I'll just keep it. But I knew I had this burning fire. And so one of the scariest things that I did that really did actually pay off eventually was I got a spreadsheet. I wrote down all of the schools and all of the contacts, all of the holiday programs. And I sat in a room, and you don't have to do it this way, but I didn't know any other way to do it. I didn't have that many contacts. And I called, even though this is my phobia, like I have a fear. And I would be like, hi, Sarah, my name's Deanne. I have a kids program. I'm really hoping that you have a space. Who can I talk? That was really, really scary. Fast forward, after doing that big scary thing, fast forward to over the next year to 2 years, I was then training teachers to teach in all of the schools on the east coast of Australia. But if I didn't do that massive scary thing, then I wouldn't have been able to share the stuff that I was proud of. So scary things. Okay. Next question. So, know a guy that wants to come to hoop classes that I'm starting soon. The thing is, he's on a health journey and he's really big. Okay, he's getting fitter, but mobility isn't great. I worry what I can teach him. Any tips? Yes. Okay, so we know we often group hooping into on body and off body. And no, it doesn't, even regardless of height, width, size, fitness ability, some people will be very connected to on body and other people will be very like, they're like, oh, I worked this out. I would absolutely recommend to give diversity. So do not assume that because your student is, unless they tell you that they have a very specific injury. So if they tell you that they have shoulder, wrist, elbow, hand injury, you're not going to give them anything that is going to damage. But if they do not have an injury and you can safely support them, do not assume that they can't do something. That would be my big tip. I would also say that if you have people of different heights, weights, sizes, have different hoops. Have big hoops, have small hoops if you can. I know that's not in everyone's budget, so it does make it challenging. If you are going to attempt on-body stuff with tall, large, different mobility, have bigger hoops than you think you need, and have a couple of them, and really discuss that with all of your students, not just the student that might have needs. Discuss that different sizes give us different abilities, and it has nothing to do with how cool you are, how good you are, how many years you've been hooping. It's about feeling it. And if you have students who are disconnected to their body and their feelings for a whole bunch of reasons, give them the journey of reconnecting through trial, through embodiment, which means feeling like, oh, this weight feels good, this size feels fast. It's an exploration. So if you can, have many different hoop sizes and give them many different activities. I know that's broad. If you have more specific questions on that, you can email me as well. Vitilius has a hoop in her car at all times. Yes, you never know. Have two. Have you got two? Because you never quite know when you might bump into someone extraordinary. Yes. So, do I say your name right, Guillaume? I hope so. Beautiful human. Roberta, I've watched a hooper who is in a wheelchair and she rocked. There is an abundance of possibilities. Yes, and it will make you a very creative teacher. Very creative. And don't be afraid to shy away. And also, I would say, unless the student specifically asks to be separate for some kind, everyone gets to share in that energy. Everyone gets to learn. There's not, it's about being inclusive, not, if, again, injuries are a different conversation and a different support. Thank you. I'm good at breaking down. I'm the queen of the breakdown. Yeah. We learn these breakdowns through life, through observation. Like, if you don't know how to teach something, spend time watching yourself. Spend time naming how you're doing things. Right hand, back of hand, touches the... Spend some time understanding how your body moves, and you will also be the queen of the breakdown. Observation. Lorette, thank you. Although your progress is slow, your progress is your progress. The course is a great investment. Yes, even if you don't want to teach, and you don't have to do this course, it's something that I'm proud of. It's like the kids, it's something that I'm proud of. And if people told me that they got nothing from it and it sucked, that would be the feedback. And I'd still be proud of it, but that's not the feedback that I get. So thank you. Great answer. Ideas related to different abilities and sizes. Made a really small hoop for an elderly woman in a wheelchair. She loved participating. Yes. It's William in Portuguese. Yes. Okay. I taught my 6-foot-something beanpole boyfriend how to waist hoop for the first time yesterday, since hooping for 6 years and dating for 2. Breakthrough. That's exciting. I'm going to reconnect with the observation part. I've been very focused on one thing, but it is nice to take a panoramic view of progress. Yeah. And you know what? Things open up. So the more that so you can be doing this thing and really focused on a certain style, and then maybe you meet a student, or maybe you meet another dancer, or maybe you meet someone who open, or maybe it just comes from within, or perhaps watching things, and try it out. There's always other spaces to flow. Hello, I want to integrate. I'm Mona from Mexico, but I'm a little afraid because my English is not very advanced, but I know I can. Thank you. I'm just so blown. My mind is blown because I do speak English, and I haven't dedicated the time or the courage or the intelligence to learning another language the way that you have. So I'm like, thank you. If it's the training that you're talking about, yes, it is at this point only in English. I wonder if there's something I can do to change that. I've had people from all around the world who English is not their first language do the training. If it is a concern for you, I would love to hear from you. We can talk about it or discuss it in some way. Your boyfriend wants to be part of the hooping too. Yeah, everyone, why not? I think what helped most was breaking down the waist hooping to basics and his change in mindset to want to do it. Yeah, and okay, so, and we're about to wrap up. For those of you who are like, hey, we could do this forever if you want to, but I know I want to honor people's time as well. You will have people come to your classes and their mindset will be, I'm not good at dancing, or I suck at this, or I'm a bit ashamed of my body, or very ashamed of my body. I have a toxic relationship with I could list 1,000 different mindsets that go through, or I'm nervous to be here, I'm stressed out, I'm not going to be as good as other people. What if I embarrass myself? So part of your role there is observing that and nurturing, not going into it. We don't need to feed into, again, we're not trauma counselors. We're not, and if you are, that would be a separate session with those beautiful humans and yourself. But you're there. I hope that as queen of the breaking down, I am also queen of you got this, you can do this. Like this is something, but not everyone loves it. As heartbreaking as that is, not everyone loves hooping, and that's okay. But you know what? I've had some really cool stories where some people who've come in because their friend has dragged them in and they're like, oh, hooping, this is like not even cool. They have become the most obsessed. So we just let them, we're just there. We're there. If they're meant to be there, they'll be there. Okay, Liz, you sent an email with a specific question about possibly not being able to finish within 8 weeks. I would like to take the course, but since there have maybe another one this year, I may need extra time. Is that okay? Yes, definitely. Yes, Lorette will know too. Yes, so nothing shuts down. So we have 12 weeks where I'm guiding you and you're in a support group and we go through the material step by step. But some people, actually, I did a Zoom meeting with some of the Hoop Love coaches from the past on Monday of this week. And some of them are starting their own new groups and going through it like years later. Some have done it like in years prior. So what I'm really trying to say is people do take it at their own pace. And some people surprise themselves. They say, I'm never going to be able to get through this in 12 weeks. But then they do, because they get so absorbed into it and it becomes this thing that's really inspiring. And then others don't. And I hope that it's very clear that I'm not here. While I love structure, I also appreciate flow, and life is flow. So there is a structured way to do this and there is your flowing way. So, and yes, I have April 5th is the only teacher training that I have scheduled and confirmed for this year, because whoa, 2020, 2021, we are going through it. Usually I would do another one in September, and I'm hoping to confirm that, but I haven't yet. I don't like to let people down. So if I say it and then it doesn't go ahead, but I'm pretty sure. But this last year and this year has just been so much. Yes, queen of breaking it down and building it up. Thank you. I'm getting that on a t-shirt. That's amazing. Yes, do a bit of cardio hooping, having a hoop rave. I hope that, yes, you have lifetime access to the course. As long as you have the internet, you can also download it all and take it away if you're, going somewhere else. I'm not going anywhere because, well, luckily I live on a beautiful part of the planet and I'm very, very grateful. So If not September, when? Do you have any idea? No, if I do it, no. Okay, so to clarify that, if I do another one this year, it will be in September. And if not, it will be again at the start of 2022. I'm feeling the vibes that for some people, it's a little bit like too soon for them. So yeah, I should make that decision, right? Precision and positivity. I love you, Tian. Thank you. Okay, any more questions? We're going to wrap up. I bought the course, didn't engage with the coaching with you. I would like to also engage with the upcoming sessions with you. Is there a way to add into the group? Yes, for free. Yes. Do not pay. No. Rachel, do not ever pay for the course again. No, you already have it. And for anyone who's thinking that too, there's no ongoing fees. There's I talk a lot about structure, and that is some companies, businesses structure to constantly pay for things or no, do not do that. If you want to come into the next course for free, you already have, let's say you did it in September last year or back in 2019, just come in with me this time and you've got your course and I'll send you the guidance. Please send me an email. And if I didn't get it, then, or if I didn't reply, then ping me. Yeah, cool. Is that Rachel who said that? Yes. Okay. Hopefully I have all of your questions answered. There's always new questions. So feel free to let me know at any time. We have now, this workshop is 1 minute and 11 minutes. Perfect. 11:11. We were all meant to be here. Thank you so much. If you have any questions that I didn't answer, jump in to my inbox and let me know at any time. Thank you. Thanks, Roberta, Olive. Thank you, Julia. So awesome. I don't even know how to wrap up. Quick, just jump off. Take all of those ideas that you just wrote down and turn them into whatever you feel like. Big love, and I'll see you really soon. Mwah. Yes, I needed the inspiration too. Thank you. See you again.